Hey, Caitlin, what value do you feel like you and this team got out of the playoff experience, and what did it to you reveal that you guys need in the future?
Yeah, like we talked about in our locker room after the game ended, where
that's an absolute dime.
The three-pointers like this.
Finds Clark from the logo. You bet!
Evaluating Caitlin Clark has been a really interesting experience for me because I had the opportunity to evaluate and draft Sue Bird.
Caitlin Clark, the rising star of the Indiana Fever and one of the league's most exciting players, just dropped a bombshell announcement that she's leaving the WNBA to head overseas and play in Europe. This is big news because Caitlin helped lead the Fever to the playoffs and set new records. However, despite her success, she faced some tough challenges off the court. But what went wrong, and why did she make this decision? I'll explain everything in this video. Christy Sides, the current head coach of the Indiana Fever, has been making waves with the team lately. If you're not super familiar with the Fever, they had been struggling for a while, and their performance wasn't anything to brag about. They hadn't made the playoffs since 2016, so it was a long drought for fans. But then Christy Sides came in as head coach, and things started to change. She's been a huge part of getting the Fever back on track.
you know, it's kind of a balancing act, and you have to have a good understanding of, you know, what kind of players you have. Some players need a little bit more rest. Some players need to get out and get a little up and down so they can get the blood flowing a little bit, get the lactic acid out. So, you know, yesterday we came in and watched video. We had to watch some video, fix some things that we needed to fix.
This season, under Sides' leadership, the Fever did something incredible. They made the playoffs. That's right. After years of not making it, the team turned things around. A big part of this success is thanks to Caitlin Clark, who's basically been the face of the team. She's super talented, and it felt like with her playing and Sides coaching, the Fever were on the rise. It brought fans back to the stadium, and for the first time in a long time, people were excited to watch the Fever again. Her stats were amazing. She averaged 19.2 points, 8.4 assists, and 5.7 rebounds per game. Those numbers are huge for a rookie, and it showed just how impactful she was for the Indiana Fever. Fans couldn't get enough of her. She was always making headlines for her scoring and playmaking. Whether it was a crazy buzzer beater or an insane assist, Caitlin made the game look easy. But it wasn't just her numbers that made her special. Caitlin brought an energy and excitement to the game that was hard to match. Every time she was on the court, you could feel the intensity. Fans started showing up in droves to watch her play. In fact, her presence helped the Fever break attendance records. And it wasn't just at home games. People were turning up to watch her wherever she went. It was like she was carrying the league's excitement on her back. She became the face of the Fever and, honestly, a huge part of the WNBA's branding. People wanted to watch Caitlin Clark play. She was one of the reasons why the WNBA was seeing more viewership and more tickets being sold. The league needed someone like her, and she showed up in a big way.
Honestly, I feel like it's something that just comes with it, and honestly, I don't feel a lot of it. I think it's kind of just come with how I've carried myself and how I've, you know, gone about my business every single day, and I think that's what I try to do the most. But at the same time, I always remind myself, this is a team sport. I have a lot of people to rely on, and then outside of basketball, I always rely on my friends and my family.
Caitlin Clark's rookie season might have looked amazing on the outside. Behind the scenes, she was dealing with a lot. One of the biggest problems was how physical the game got and how the league didn't really do much to protect her. If you watched her games, you probably saw how she was constantly getting hit, shoved, elbowed, you name it. She was vocal about it too. She told reporters that she felt like she was getting hammered every game and that the referees were letting it slide. These were hits that could have seriously hurt her. Elbows to the head, getting poked in the eye, stuff that shouldn't be happening without consequences. But it seemed like nothing was being done. The refs weren't calling fouls, and the league wasn't stepping in to protect her. This took a toll on Caitlin. She was out there giving it her all, playing at an incredibly high level, but she wasn't getting the protection she needed from the officials. It's one thing to play hard, but it's another to feel like you're constantly getting beat up with no support from the people who are supposed to be enforcing the rules. It's exhausting, and it definitely weighed on her as the season went on. Beyond the physical challenges Caitlin Clark faced on the court, she also dealt with an issue that isn't often talked about: racial harassment. Caitlin is one of the few white players in the WNBA, which is a predominantly black league. While you'd hope that race wouldn't be an issue, sadly, it became one for Caitlin. She was put in an uncomfortable spotlight, and over time, she became the target of racially charged comments from both fans and even some players.
Yeah, it's definitely upsetting. I don't think there's nobody in our league should be facing any sort of racism, hurtful, disrespectful, hateful comments and threats. Those aren't fans, those are trolls, and it's a real disservice to the people in our league, the organization, the WNBA. But there are a lot of really good fans, whether they've been fans for 20 plus years or whether they're new fans in our league.
This harassment didn't just come from random people on social media either. Caitlin had to face comments in games, in interviews, and even from the stands. As a white player in the league, she was often singled out, and some people made racially charged remarks about her presence in the WNBA. Caitlin has always been vocal about standing up for herself, but when the league doesn't back you up, it can feel like you're fighting a battle on your own. She felt that not only was she being targeted on the court with aggressive physical play, but off the court, she was being subjected to a toxic environment where the league didn't seem to care about her well-being. But then, out of nowhere, Caitlin Clark announces she's leaving the WNBA and heading overseas to play in Europe. Caitlin needed a fresh start, somewhere she could focus on her game without the extra burden of dealing with harassment and feeling unsupported. Caitlin Clark's decision to leave the WNBA and head to Europe might seem like a surprise to some, but when you really think about it, it makes a lot of sense. First, there's the financial aspect. The WNBA, while growing, still doesn't pay its players nearly as much as overseas leagues do. In Europe, basketball players can make way more money, especially someone with Caitlin's level of talent. EuroLeague teams have a lot of money to offer, and it's common for top players to consider playing overseas because they get paid significantly more. The EuroLeague has a lot of respect for its top players, and Caitlin will likely be able to focus more on her game without the same level of pressure she faced in the WNBA. Over there, she won't be carrying the entire league on her back like she was in the US. She can just be a basketball player again, without all the added drama and stress that came with being the face of the WNBA. One of the biggest shocks of Caitlin Clark's rookie season wasn't just how incredible she played, but how the Rookie of the Year voting went down. Caitlin had an absolutely insane season. She was, without a doubt, the best rookie in the WNBA. Everyone expected her to win Rookie of the Year unanimously. I mean, her stats and performance spoke for themselves. She was averaging over 19 points, nearly 9 assists, and 6 rebounds per game. On top of that, she helped carry the Indiana Fever into the playoffs for the first time in years. So when the Rookie of the Year voting came in, everyone thought she would sweep all the votes.
Breaking news here on SportsCenter, and a surprise to absolutely nobody. Caitlin Clark has been named WNBA Rookie of the Year, the #1 overall pick. Didn't only break rookie records in her first year in the W, but she also took down a few league records, including scoring the most points by a guard in a single season. But wait, there's more. Clark set single-season rookie records for points, assists, and three-pointers. Her 337 assists were a WNBA single-season record overall.
But she didn't. Instead, Caitlin missed out on a unanimous win because of one rogue vote. One vote went to Angel Reese, another talented player, but one who didn't have the same impact as Caitlin that season. This left fans, analysts, and even other players scratching their heads. How could someone like Caitlin, who had dominated all season, not get every vote? Then things got even more interesting. Rumors started swirling that there was more going on behind the scenes. It wasn't just some random voter deciding to give Angel Reese a nod. There was allegedly a plot to stop Caitlin from getting that perfect, unanimous Rookie of the Year title. And the person at the center of these rumors? None other than WNBA superstar A'ja Wilson. A'ja Wilson, who is a legend in the league, has always been a fierce competitor. She's won MVP awards, championships, and has been one of the most dominant players in recent years. But one thing she never did during her rookie year, win Rookie of the Year unanimously. And that's where the theory comes in. Allegedly, A'ja didn't want Caitlin to accomplish something that she hadn't done, get every single vote for Rookie of the Year. So, the story goes, she might have used her influence to make sure Caitlin didn't get that unanimous win. It sounds wild, but when you start connecting the dots, it doesn't seem so far-fetched. The person who voted for Angel Reese was a journalist named Cameron Duncan, and many people believe that Duncan didn't just make that choice on his own. According to the rumors, A'ja Wilson allegedly had a hand in influencing Duncan's vote. This was all about protecting her legacy and making sure Caitlin didn't outshine her. At least not in that way. So why did Angel Reese get the vote? Reese is a talented player, no doubt, but she didn't have the kind of standout season that Caitlin did. Many think that her name was used as a distraction, a way to divert attention from Caitlin's incredible season. In other words, Reese was caught in the middle of this whole scheme without even being directly involved. In the end, Caitlin still won Rookie of the Year, but but that one vote left a blemish on what should have been a perfect sweep. It was a deliberate move, and fans were outraged. People started questioning the integrity of the voting process and wondering if there were other forces at play behind the scenes.
Jones responded to the criticism of Troy Aikman. The former Dallas quarterback commented on the team's route running. Jones acknowledged the comments on the Cowboys' struggles, meanwhile taking a shot at his coach. Here's Jerry.
Caitlin Clark's decision to leave the WNBA is a huge blow, not only for her team, the Indiana Fever, but also for the league as a whole. Before Caitlin joined, the Fever had missed the playoffs for a long time. But with her on board, the team not only made the playoffs, but also became a serious contender. Fans started filling the stands again because everyone wanted to see Caitlin play.
The wrong foul on the floor, so Lewis still has one to get. Martin for Marshall. And a foul there on the baseline as Marshall went down hard. So Lewis remaining in the game. They gave us the wrong info on the foul. It was on Brittany Smith instead. Marshall.
The Fever had built their recent success around her, and without her, they'll need to figure out how to keep that energy going. It's a big task, and it won't be easy. For Christy Sides, the head coach of the Indiana Fever, Caitlin's departure is a major challenge. Sides played a huge part in turning the team around, and she's been praised for her leadership. But now, without the star players she helped develop, Sides will have to come up with new strategies to keep the team competitive. The WNBA has also been trying to compete with overseas leagues for top talent, and Caitlin's move to Europe highlights the ongoing challenges the league faces. In Europe, players like Caitlin can earn significantly more money, and they are often treated with a higher level of respect. The fact that one of the WNBA's biggest stars feels like she needs to leave in order to find better support and compensation is a clear sign that the league has some work to do. If the WNBA doesn't address these issues, they could lose even more top players to overseas leagues. Let me know in the comments what you think about this big move and how it'll impact the WNBA. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more updates on this and other basketball news.